Let's talk some NASCAR. We are in the playoffs now for the Monster Energy Series. 10 races left in the year to determine a champion. The first this Sunday evening in Las Vegas. There are 16 drivers in the playoffs with Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Martin Truex Jr. as the top three seeds. All driving Toyotas, by the way. Rick, which driver do you expect to make a move in the standings this weekend?
Hey, and all three are teammates, by the way. And their fourth team member, Eric Jones, is in the playoffs. Like Joe Gibbs Racing, it's like you can't even compare the other teams to them right now. Only Team Penske can compare because they have Logano and Keselowski, and both of them are legitimate threats to win this weekend. In fact, if we're talking just Vegas right now and not the overall playoffs, I'm actually leaning towards Team Penske. I'm leaning towards Brad Keselowski to win this race. He has 3 victories at Vegas. Over the last 8 Vegas races, his average finish is just over 3. He won this race last fall. Joey Logano won this in the spring. Keselowski's just been a stud at Vegas. He tends to do well at these more mid-range distance tracks, 1.5-mile laps. I like him this week. I'm not taking him for the overall championship, just this weekend in Vegas.
I kind of like Kevin Harvick at 6-1 to win this week. Penske drivers have won each of the last 2 races here, so Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney might look like decent values. Especially Blaney is kind of a long shot, but Harvick has a decent track record here. He finished 4th in March back in March in Vegas. He won in 2018. He won in 2015. So 6-1 I think is decent value there, and that's who I would take.
So, Rick, let's look overall now. Who do you see winning the Monster Energy Series championship this year? We got 10 races left. Who's standing on top at the end?
You know, it's going to be exciting because we got at least, I'd say, 5 or 6 legitimate options this year. Both Team Penske drivers, the 3 top Joe Gibbs Racing driver, and Taylor's pick in Kevin Harvick. I'm going to automatically wipe off the bottom half of the field because it's going to take multiple wins for them to continue to advance in rounds. Basically, the top 4 or 5, maybe even 6 ranked players right now have a great shot of making it to the 3rd round. Like they're almost guaranteed for the 2nd round based on where they're already at. And then if you look at their track records through the tracks, Kyle Busch is one of the only, as far as I can remember, he's the only driver has won at every single one of these tracks in the playoffs, other than Charlotte's road course, which was just unveiled last year. And I believe Blaney won that one last year, which helped him to advance further in the playoffs. I'm taking Kyle Busch. I think that it's his time to bounce back. My underrated pick, under the radar pick, is Martin Truex Jr. because I think a lot of people have forgotten about him. They're talking about Hamlin and Busch at Joe Gibbs Racing. They're talking about Logano repeating. And they're talking about Kevin Harvick, who's won 3 races out of the last 7, who just won last weekend in Indy, who's finally coming on strong. Last year it was all about Harvick and Busch, and you got Joey Logano sneaking in. This year it could be anybody from JGR or Team Penske or Harvick. I'm going with Kyle Busch. I think it's his time to win the championship for the first time in 4 years. He's had proven success at each track in the playoffs. I have a hard time picking against him. He's the odds-on favorite like every single week. He's arguably the best driver in the sport. I would love to see Truex win, but I'm going to have to side with Kyle Busch.
Yeah, it's hard to go against that for all the reasons you said. Plus, he's the current leader right now, so he kind of just has an inside track. So not really a pun intended there, but it came out nicely. So I'll side with Rick. I'll take Kyle Busch too.
I was going to point out that pun because it was also Rick's little track record at each of the race courses, those tracks. It was a very punny segment. I appreciate that. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed that segment from the Odds On Favorites podcast. If you did, there's plenty more where that came from. Click on the link on your screen now to be taken to the complete podcast from this week, or check out the channel to find the other individual segments. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Odds On Favorites YouTube channel for plenty more sports and sports betting picks, tips, and how-to guides.